Don't forget to use tools like forms and spreadsheets that both Google and Microsoft has for you to keep track of some of those management tasks in your classroom. Here's one example that I've used in my classroom this year to avoid the spread of germs with hall passes or sign-out sheets. I created a form that keeps track of where the students are going. So they would, if they needed to use the restroom, they would go in and mark that they were going to the restroom, and they would enter the current time. This will automatically generate a spreadsheet for me of every student that fills out the hall pass to leave. And then I have them fill it out again when they come back to mark that they've returned to the classroom, again with the time. So this is something easy to use. The kids do real well with it, and it takes one more thing off of my plate. Another way that you could use spreadsheets is in keeping track of standards or mastery learning or even steps on a project. This is a grid that I use with my middle school class to keep track of where they were on a project that we were doing. I had a grid set up with different activities about learning about France. And so each of the different activities I had labeled on their instructions with 1A, 1B, 1C, and so forth. And you see that the students went through, and as they were working, they would indicate that they were working on something or that they were done with each thing, or if they needed help, they could do that. Now, I set this up with color coding so that it was simply a drop down menu for each thing for them to select what it is that they're working on. I have the ability, because I set this up as a shared spreadsheet within Teams, that if somebody needed something to be redone, I could go in and say, oh, wait a second, corrections are needed here. And then they could go back and communicate. So this is a good way of keeping track when students are working at a different pace from one another as to who is at what point. Speaking of sheets, if you use Google Sheets, here's a great set of tools that you can use Google Sheets for to make online flashcards and some of those management tools like the random name picker and randomizers that we've discussed before. This site has some really nice demos and instructions, and there's even a template to use for each thing so that you can just add the spreadsheet. Now, if you're not quite so good at spreadsheets, there is also the skip the spreadsheet. And some of these they have available for you to go in and put your list in here and then generate whichever it is that you're working on. The e-learning recommendations, this also gives you some ideas for those of you that are working online and kind of gives you some ideas of how to use them. So hopefully you found some tools here that will help you.